Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we're going to take a look at another horrible case with you. The story begins with Lakhvir Kaur. She was born in Punjab and had big dreams. Her academic performance was good and she aspired to live life on her own terms. However, soon her family finds a match for her, named Onkar Singh, who was residing in London at that time. Onkar's career in London was thriving, and it's worth noting that this story is set after the 1980s. Now here, Lakhvir Kaur's marriage takes place with Onkar Singh. After the wedding, Onkar had already arranged for his wife Lakhvir's passport and all other things, and shortly after the marriage, he calls her to London. Their home was in Southall, West London, which is now affectionately known as Little Punjab by people. Slowly, time started passing, and Lakhvir and Onkar had 3 children, but Lakhvir wasn't happy in that household. She was adjusting to her life somehow. However, in 1989, bad news arrived that Onkar had cancer. Since cancer treatment wasn't widely available at that time, finding expensive treatment became quite challenging, leading to significant financial difficulties in Onkar's home. Now, because Onkar was in the hospital at that time, and there was no one earning money at home, Lakhvir took permission from her husband Onkar and rented out some rooms in their house. One of the tenants was 20-year-old Lakhvinder Chima, who belonged to Punjab. Lakhvinder's job in London was fine. He worked in a chemical factory. Now, Lakhvir was getting quite bored at her home. Taking care of 3 children, looking after her sick husband, and staying confined at home. She didn't like all these things, and she hadn't even thought she would live such a life. Although she had everything, as I told you, she wanted to live her life on her own terms. So she started talking to Lakhvinder because both were Punjabi, and they didn't face much difficulty in adjusting to each other. As the days passed, their friendship deepened. But after a few months, neither of them realized when this friendship turned into a relationship. They were taking good care of each other, to the extent that Lakhvir had given Lakhvinder the status of her husband. She washed his clothes, cooked for him, and even cleaned his room. Lakhvir did all this because she enjoyed spending time with Lakhvinder, her favorite man. Now this relationship wasn't just for months, but several years had passed. During this time, Lakhvir contemplates divorcing her husband Onkar. Initially, she confides in Onkar about it, who was still battling his illness. Later, she told to Lakhvinder about her divorce with her husband. However, Lakhvinder advises Lakhvir, saying, "Look, this isn't a good idea. Your husband is still ill, and you need to be with him. Besides, in our village, people view divorce with disapproval." Upon hearing this, Lakhvir also felt that Lakhvinder was right, and thereafter he changed his decision. Perhaps his thinking remained that even if I and Lakhvinder cannot get married, he will still be with me. But now, 16 years had passed in their relationship. Their affair began in 1993, and it was now the month of November in 2008. The Chima family had started pressuring him for marriage because he was around 40 years old. It is evident that after reaching such an age, every family worries about their son or daughter's marriage. Now, Lakhvinder's family here sees many girls for him, and his family becomes interested in a girl named Gurjeet. Luckily, Gurjeet is also living in London. After that, Lakhvinder and Gurjeet meet there. Lakhvinder's family quickly finalizes their wedding on February 14, 2009. According to reports at that time, Gurjeet was around 20 years old. However, even according to the laws in England at that time, this age was perfectly suitable for marriage. But after this, Lakhvinder informs Lakhvir about his marriage. Upon hearing this, Lakhvir was completely devastated. Numerous questions were running through her mind at the same time. The one she had loved for so long, fed for 16 years, taken care of so diligently, would now no longer be with her. In simple terms, Lakhvir was deeply in love with Lakhvinder. Therefore, she tried to explain and persuade him in front of Lakhvinder, but he didn't agree. After much contemplation, Lakhvir made a decision. If Lakhvinder can't be mine, then he won't be anyone else's, meaning she would remove Lakhvinder from her life altogether. After that, Lakhvir began searching for a way to kill Lakhvinder, ensuring that neither the snake dies nor the stick breaks. In other words, if anything were to happen to Lakhvinder, Lakhvir's name shouldn't come up. After a thorough search, she finally found a method and returned to India from London. Staying at his home for just a few days, she purchased a plant called the Queen of Poison. Lakhvir discovered that it not only produces many Ayurvedic medicines, but also serves the purpose of poison. A small quantity of it can kill a person within an hour, and the unique thing was that it was found only in India and a few other countries. Anyway, Lakhvir bought this plant from India and returned to London in just a few days. Upon arriving, she accepted the decision of Lakhvindar marriage to that girl, making both Lakhvir and Lakhvindar happy. In the meantime, Lakhvinder made a significant decision. He left Lakhvir's rented house and started living elsewhere. However, one day, Lakhvir arrived at Lakhvinder's new home with poison. There, she spoke about some things, and then Lakhvir told Lakhvinder she brings food for him. Initially, Lakhvinder refused, but faced with Lakhvir's persistence, he gave in. Afterward, Lakhvir secretly mixed poison into Lakhvinder's vegetables in the kitchen. Although the quantity was minimal at that time, the poison was so potent that if it reached different parts of the body, the person would be paralyzed within a few minutes. Now that the dose of poison was low, after some time, its effect started showing on Lakhvinder's body. Suddenly, he began to have difficulty breathing, and he started vomiting heavily. That's why he quickly dialed 999 for emergency assistance. Meanwhile, after having dinner with Lakhvinder, Lakhvir had already gone home. An ambulance arrived at Lakhvinder's house, took him to the hospital, where Gurujit had also reached. Upon hearing the news, Lakhvir arrived there and acted as if she knew nothing. When the doctors examined Lakhvinder, they found out that he worked in a chemical factory. The doctor suggested that he might have been affected by some chemicals, causing Lakhvinder's sudden deterioration in health. But let me tell you that Lakhvir deliberately added poison to the vegetables so that Lakhvindar falls ill, and then he can take care of him. After that, perhaps Lakhvindar might change his mind and decide to stay with Lakhvir again. However, Lakhvir's plan fails when he reaches the hospital. Following this, he starts filling Gurjit's ears with information about Lakhvindar's past, even though Lakhvindar had already shared his past with Gurjit. Due to this, Gurjit ignores Lakhvir's words. Now, Lakhvir realizes once again that Lakhvindar is no longer with him. Therefore, Lakhvir decides to poison Lakhvindar again, this time in a larger quantity. Therefore, Lakhvir was eagerly awaiting another opportunity, and now the month changes. The date is January 27th, 2009. Lakhvir goes to Lakhvindar's house, where Gurjit was already present. The three engage in some normal conversations, and Lakhvir was making them feel as if she had now accepted their relationship. However, something else was going on in her mind. Later in the evening, Lakhvir is offered to have dinner at their house, an offer she had been anticipating. After that, she says, "Today, for the last time, I will cook and feed both of them with my own hands." But Gurjit insists, "No, the curry is ready, and only the roti needs to be made. Don't worry, I'll make it myself." However, Lakhvir refuses her offer several times. Afterwards, she goes to the kitchen, takes out curry from the freezer, and mixes the Queen of Poison in it. Then she serves both of them the poisoned curry, and after having the meal, she returns home so that no one suspects her. Now, Lakhvinder had enjoyed 2 pakoras from the curry, while Gurjit had only eaten 1. A few minutes after eating, both of them show the same symptoms that Lakhvinder had exhibited a month ago. Now, Gurjit suspects that perhaps Lakhvir had mixed something in their food. After some struggle, Lakhvinder calls 999 once again, and this time, he also informs his sister and some friends nearby. Approximately half an hour after reaching the hospital, Lakhvinder succumbs to death, as about an hour had passed since he ate the curry. On the other hand, Gurjit, having consumed only 1 pakora, falls into a coma. As I mentioned, this poison can damage various body parts by spreading throughout the body. Due to this, doctors also became concerned about Gurjit's well-being. However, after some time, Gurjit regained consciousness. After that, he narrated the entire story to the police. Here, Lakhvinder's sister and his friends were also in agreement with Gurjit's statements, and based on these pieces of evidence, the police arrested Lockveer. He was charged in court with first-degree murder and attempted murder. But, as we all know, the court demands solid evidence, which the police didn't have until now. Now, this was the biggest challenge for the police. They searched Lockwinder's house, where they found the curry, and later searched Lockveer's house as well. They discovered that she had recently visited Punjab in December. Subsequently, the police sought assistance from the Punjab police and conducted a raid at Lockveer's Punjab residence with a search warrant. However, there was a mistake from Lockveer. Some samples of the Queen of Poison plant were left at her Punjab residence. When the police found them, she was presented in court. After court proceedings, it was confirmed that Lockveer had killed Lockwinder and attempted to harm Gurjeet. Although the case prolonged on February 10, 2010, Lockveer was sentenced to life imprisonment and parole will be granted after 23 years. This means she can be released on parole only in 2033, with 13 years already spent on parole. Married Lockveer, who had everything and wanted to live life on her terms, is now leading a despicable life in jail. Anyway, let me tell you that in various places, the police use this case as a case study to understand the psychology of criminals. But regarding this case, I had only one question in my mind. How did Lockveer bring that Queen of Poison plant from the airport to London? Perhaps one reason could be that it was a long time ago when there wasn't much security at the airport. Another reason could be that the airport staff mistook it for a normal plant and let it pass. Finally, understanding this case, I just want to say that don't carry forward such toxic relationships. Don't let it take so long that eventually a wrong step has to be taken. What are your thoughts on this case? Please write your comments in the comment box. If you enjoyed our effort, don't forget to like and share this video. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, quickly subscribe. Thank you.